when two players that are in their prime, MVPs, both of them are battling it out. It's time to figure out which one is better, James Harden or Giannis Antetokounmpo. What's up, everybody? It's the Sports Code, aka Aiden, and welcome back to another video. James Harden or Giannis? Which one do you prefer? Which one is better? Let's get into it. Before we get started, please like and subscribe and let me know in the comments, who do you think is a better player, Giannis Antetokounmpo or James Harden? Now, first off, we have to talk about the NBA records. Now, I'm basically purely only doing this off of individual stats as well as a small amount into the team, because the teams at the moment doesn't really reflect on how good one player is on an individual basis. Is basically what I'm trying to say, is what I'm judging this on. So the Bucks are currently record wise first in the East, only team to, I believe, have a playoff, officially are making the playoffs. They have that playoff berth, the first team to do it. Congratulations. Fantastic season for the Bucks, you have to say, and they've dominated the NBA and they've beaten a lot of fantastic teams. And Giannis is definitely the key for that. I think if Giannis wasn't on the team, the Bucks would probably be around the eighth seed, probably from the fifth to eighth ratio. So at the end of the day, that's great stuff, fantastic stuff from the Milwaukee Bucks. James Harden and the Houston Rockets, on the other hand, unfortunately, they're not doing as well. But never fear, because I'm going to give you why the records don't matter in this situation. But if it does for you, of course you have to give it to the Bucks. But James Harden's Houston Rockets are currently sixth in the West. Now, of course, to James Harden and even Russell Westbrook's quality of play, you'd expect more from a team like the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets definitely should be in a playoff position higher than that, higher than sixth. And their team is good enough to achieve that. But unfortunately, due to pretty much bad chemistry from Westbrook and Harden and the team going into a new season, they've just haven't reached their full potential yet. But don't worry, they will. I 100% believe come playoff time, these two and their entire team, because, by the way, whoever says it's the team is only James Harden and Russell Westbrook are complete liars. The Houston Rockets team is a fantastic team with great, solid players. James Harden is clearly the leader of the team, and as is Westbrook. But it is not a two-team. It's not a two-player team, and you got to give them more respect than that. They're a playoff team, and they deserve. All of their players deserve more recognition than what they do. James Harden leads the pack, but the pack is still very solid as well. Now, the reason why the records doesn't matter is because if you put the Houston Rockets, right, you put them into the East, where do you think they'll finish? Because in my opinion, they're definitely in the top four in the East, and arguably, and they're in the top two, because their team is that good, and the West is so good, and the East, as surprising as it's been, it has not reached the level of the West. Look at the teams like Portland, teams like San Antonio, teams like Phoenix, the Timberwolves. I can go on. There's so many teams that are currently in that field for eighth position, from sixth to eighth, that just are struggling. And that's the reason why. It's because the West is so difficult. The top six, really, you got what, the Lakers, the Clippers, the Nuggets. You've got the Rockets now coming into it. There's so many good teams, and it's hard to leave one out, even the Jazz. So yeah, the West is much better than the East in terms of power standpoint. So you have to recognize that and put that in the situation as well. It is difficult to say that the Rockets' record really matters in this situation, because of look how strong the standings are. It's just not fair, in my opinion, to go based on that. So what's next? You have to look at the statistics of the players. So let's go to Giannis. Giannis has, I believe, 30 points per game. These are not, by the way, by the time of the recording, things like this, the statistics might have been changed, but they're not also exact statistics as well. It's from the NBA app, if you guys want to download that and check it for yourself. So Giannis has, I believe, 30 points per game, 14 rebounds per game, insane, and I believe 6 assists. So stats-wise, Giannis is doing fantastic. Giannis is 7 foot, so the rebounds per se is the clear standout here. However, the way that Giannis plays, it's definitely worthy of being an MVP, is it not? I think Giannis is definitely favourite to win MVP this season, but we got to also look at James Harden here because he's definitely not out of it yet. So James Harden averages, I believe, 35 points per game, 6 rebounds and 7 assists. Again, the rebounds really stand out here, but in every other area, James Harden basically takes this with the assists and with the points. I believe efficiency-wise in plus minus, Giannis wins in that area because Giannis definitely makes his teammates better compared to James Harden. Giannis, when he plays, his teammates are instantly better than when he doesn't. And that's something that you need to consider when you're saying who's a better player. How well does the team perform around them? And there are players that you would think are relatively average on that team, and they become important. Eric Bledsoe, for example. I don't think Eric Bledsoe is one of the best point guards in the league. That's a personal opinion. But when he plays on that Bucks team with one of the best players in the world, Eric Bledsoe becomes instantly a better player. Chris Middleton as well has achieved that. Now, Chris Middleton, of course, is a fantastic player, but like I'm just trying to give examples here. Brook Lopez as well. So in that retrospect, the record I guess you could give it to the Bucks, but like come on, like that's unfair. And of course, the making players better, you have to give it to Giannis. But statistically, I'm giving this to James Harden. Now, I know Giannis has much better rebounds, and his plus minus is clearly better because James Harden is a turnover machine at the moment. But I want to talk about the defense of these two players. Now, Giannis is clearly in a defensive player of the year race at the moment. He's looking to win defensive player of the year. Blocks wise, Giannis is averaging 1 block per game. Steals wise, Giannis is averaging 1 steal per game. It's good defensive stats. Clearly, by the eye test, he's a much better defender than James Harden. He clearly plays better defense. However, the stats are on James Harden's side here. So that's why the stats for me matter the most. James Harden is averaging 1.7 steals per game and 0.9 blocks per game. So basically a block a game and nearly 2 steals per game. So almost doubling pretty much Giannis's stats in terms of defense. Now, what does that say for James Harden? Why is James Harden not being mentioned as a defensive player of the year if he's averaging stats like that? The reason why is the eye test. When people see James Harden, the perception is he doesn't play defense. Where we've seen over the years he's improved dramatically on that end, and now he's still not getting the recognition when he's basically been the best defender that he's ever been in his career. So statistically, you have to give it to James Harden. And even carrying a team like he does make his team better. I'm not saying he doesn't, but I definitely think his team is a lot worse than the Bucks as well. If you take Giannis, you take Harden out, unless Westbrook shows up, that series, the Bucks would sweep the Rockets. I really believe that. So at the end of the day, James Harden does make his team better, and so does Giannis. But the statistics-wise, you have to give it to James Harden. His defensive stats are better, and his averages are better. The only thing that really stands out is the rebounds for Giannis. And look at the height difference. James Harden's quote, by the way, was basically saying, which is what because I want to defend Giannis a little bit here. James Harden had a quote a couple weeks ago that said, "It must be nice to be 7 foot and dunking in every possession. It takes real skill." Whereas for him, it takes him a lot more to try and score. And at the end of the day, like James Harden does definitely have to work harder to score. He has to shoot a lot more threes. He has to get more and ones. He leads the league in free throws, which means teams are much more terrified and have to foul him. But also, you have to put into consideration here that it does take skill to be 7 foot and to dunk. There are a lot of 7 footers out there that do not have the ability that Giannis does. So it's not fair to just say it takes no skill whatsoever to do what Giannis does. That's, in my eyes, that's disrespectful to Giannis, and it's not true. Giannis is a very, very talented player. He definitely has skills, and that's why he's in the NBA. If he didn't have skill, he wouldn't be in the NBA. If all of these players, every single NBA player did not have at least one sort of skill that puts them in NBA worthy, then they're not in the league. You can't just say he has no talent. He does. He's the MVP of the league. He has talent. But James Harden is right in the retrospect where, yeah, he has to do more to score. He's not 7 foot. He doesn't have that ability to just posterize everybody in sight. He has to do more to score. And that's why, to answer the question, who's better between Giannis and James Harden, it's close, and it's either or, really. It's just basically who do you like more. I love Giannis, of course, and I like him more than James Harden, but I can't ignore how good of a season James Harden is having this season, as well as his last season as well. He had an amazing season, and he arguably got robbed for that MVP because of a story. Now, Giannis Antetokounmpo's story is incredible, and it's heartfelt. It means a lot to everybody. To someone that had nothing from Greece, was able to survive and work extremely hard to get where he is. And the story is incredible, and he does deserve the MVP, and no one complains about him winning the MVP. However, James Harden had one of the best NBA careers or seasons last year in NBA history, and I think statistically, yeah, he deserved the MVP. The only thing that brought Giannis to that MVP is the record. And at the end of the day, I think at this point in time, James Harden is a better player. I truly believe that. James Harden is a better player than Giannis Antetokounmpo. However, it is selective. I know a lot of friends are not going to like what I just said, but I also have a few that will. And James Harden has been criminally underrated in terms of how good he really is. So that's the video in a nutshell. The record-wise and making his teammates better, Giannis does that more than James Harden. But at the same time, James Harden statistically is better. And since I'm going on an individual basis, I believe James Harden is better than Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, if you put them in a one-on-one situation, that's a different story. Maybe I'll make another video on that. But James Harden, in my opinion, at his position, at his size, what he's able to do to manipulate players, manipulate the league into doing what he wants, it's on another level. He's one of the best scorers I've ever seen, and defensively he's improved year by year by year, but no one just seems to know. And these stats, hopefully, that I've presented, the 1.7 steals per game and nearly a block per game, kind of shows the improvements that have been there, and he deserves it. And I think besides LeBron James, and I don't really want to mention LeBron too much because that's a video I'm going to make later, but besides LeBron James, I think James Harden is the best player in the world. And that's controversial, but what are you going to do? I've said it. It's into the public now. Let me know what you guys think. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments as well. My word isn't gospel. I don't know everything. There's clearly stuff I've missed. No NBA, even the best of the best NBA analytics and analysts will miss something. So, of course, my word isn't gospel. I don't claim to be a professional at this. I'm basically a guy on the internet giving my opinion out to the world. So if you have a different opinion, let me know. Let's have a debate. Let's talk. Also, if you agree, like, subscribe for James Harden, man, because he's been criminally underrated, and he deserves to be a lot more than what people say that he is. Anyway, thank you for watching, and the next NBA related video is going to be about LeBron James, so stay tuned for that. As a Bulls fan, we're not meant to like LeBron, but I've got a few interesting things to say about him. Anyway, this is Sports Code. Take care and peace.